Welcome to round 3 of the 5 digital item swap that I'm doing with Rhonda Winstead and Barbara at 49 Dragonflies. Today I have to use my own digital printable sheet that I have created for this challenge. So that means I have to use this and create a tag. And the cool thing is you can join this challenge as well, because this is a freebie that you can download and use for your own creation. Hi there, this is LUISE HEINZL. Thank you very much for joining me today. Today we have to make a tag and I have to challenge myself. And I have to follow my own instructions that I have put here to this sheet. So if you have no idea about this 5 digital item swap, let me tell you what you have to do. So you can download this sheet here. The link is down below in the description box. There's a link to my homepage where you can find this as a freebie. Then you can print that out as often as you want, and then you can join this challenge. If you want to post your result to social media, then please use the hashtag that you can see somewhere here on the bottom of the screen. That's hashtag 5 digital item swap. And then the others can find your creation as well. And we can see what you have created and we can get inspiration from each other. And yeah, that's a lot of fun. And I have to say thank you to everyone who has already joined this challenge. There were 2 other videos that were before this one. And I have to say, I'm totally speechless about all of your creations. You were so creative, and there are so many wonderful things with this sheet already, and of course with the sheets that Rhonda and Barbara have created for you, and that's totally mind-blowing. I'm so happy that so many of you have joined this. Yeah, so today we have to follow my own instructions. So let's see what we have to do. This says create a tag with the items on this sheet. The fishes and numbers are one item. So that means this is item number 1, item number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Then we have to imitate some rust, and real rust is not allowed. We have to include our own handwriting with a pen or a medium of our choice, and we can print this sheet as often as we want or as we need for this project, and we can use additional things from our stash to bring our idea to life. Okay, so this is going to be the base for my tag. I have cut that out just from a piece of packaging paper, not paper. I'm always saying packaging paper. That's not the right English word, Louise. Packaging. That's here, like a cereal box or something like that. This was not a cereal box because I'm eating my cereals not from a box, but you know, I think this is just the bag from watercolor paper pad, and I have cut this in a size where I think that I can manage to put my items on. So I have just placed these both items here to see approximately the height that I need, and I have taken this child and placed it here to see how much negative space I will have around him, because this is probably going to be my focal point, but I'm not totally sure about that. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to cover my tag up with some corrugated cardboard to get an interesting texture to it. And I want to try something today that I have not done in that way before, I have to say, because do you know this technique where you take, this thing has one side that is like this, I mean flat, and has not this texture here, and the other side has the texture. And perhaps you know this technique with those, for example, Amazon packages that have this here on both sides. Do you know what I mean? There's this little texture thingy here is in between of the both layers, and then you tear off one of the layers to get parts of the texture seen on your project. And I want to try that in reverse today. Hopefully that will make sense in a second. So I will take this, trace the shape, and then I will just cut that out and glue that to the tag. Okay, so before I glue that, I'm thinking if I shall put something interesting in between of these both layers that can peek out here. What could that be? When we don't know what we want to do, what can that be? So I've just picked this weird material. This was absolutely not the plan, absolutely not. But this just came to my mind. I don't know why. I got this in a Happy Mail, and I've used this on a journal the other day. That turned out really, really cool. And I'm just thinking if I can use some of this to make this really, really interesting. And this texture, of course, is really cool. But how to manage to bring that in between with these things, I mean, that has to peek out, of course. And otherwise I couldn't glue it, of course, and that could be a problem. So I think I can always glue something to the back that is peeking out here when I want to have that. So I want to follow my original idea first, otherwise this will drive me crazy within the first minutes. So let's see. So this is really sturdy. That is cool. I like that. So now, first of all, I want to create some kind of a background, and for that I have to know where my focal point will go later, and I think that will be approximately here. So when my focal point is going here, I think I want this effect here and here on the bottom, I guess. Yeah. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm putting some glue here where I want to have this effect, and then I'm taking, ooh, that is small. Ooh. Okay, so perhaps we have to do that in 2 steps. I'm taking this paper and I'm gluing this down. So the idea is to dry this now, and then I will tear that off so that I hopefully have this effect that you probably know with this corrugated cardboard, where you normally you tear this piece of this layer of paper that is on top of this texture, you tear that off and you have parts of that left on your project, and that's what I want to try here. I hope that that will work, and I guess for that it has to be really dry so that that can work. So I will dry it with my heat gun. Okay, that feels dry, so let's see what happens if we tear that off. Okay, so I'm tearing the first layer off of the paper. That's not good. So I want, of course, the printable to be shown here. But the white is not so bad, but I was hoping that I get more of the actual printable. But perhaps we can do it like this. Is that what I want? So I had planned to add some white gesso, and I guess for that these white edges are not so bad. So let's see what will happen when we add some white gesso to this background. Okay, so this little boy here shall go here, but not only like this. I want to back him with something, and I'm thinking if I want to do it with this thing or if that is too much. I think that is a little bit too much. I think I need something neutral from my stash, some brownish paper or something like that, because this is, for me, for the background for this boy, it's a little bit too busy. Okay. And then we can perhaps take some of this material and put that behind this little strip of the postcard. Okay, so I think that I want to have it like this. And now I thought we could use something like this. I don't know why, but when I had put this boy to the printable sheet, I thought about photos. Of course, this boy comes from a photo, and I have cut him out so that you can have a white background and fuzzy cut him out. But he, for me, still is inside of a photo or something like that. That's really strange in my head, I know, and because of that, I have cut this out. This is from, this is made with a die cut, a really old die cut by Tim Holtz. And I have cut this out from just some black cardstock. And I thought perhaps we can, because this, you know, this would be the normal way, put the head of the boy inside and then cut that out, and then we are finished. But that's too boring for me, as you can guess. And because of that, I want to, and he's way too big, of course, to do that. I want to try to put him in here like this, so that he has his head looking out from there. Okay, so next I think I want to include these fishes here in some way, and I thought we could perhaps put them into this frame as well somehow. Yeah, I think I like it like this, and now I want to try to include some of this material here. So this little thing here has to go away, because that is way too much on top of the fish. I don't like that. Who? And what about this? I've just taken this fish away. Why not putting this here? I mean, then we would have the background, we would have the texture here everywhere, it would be in the right flow with the rest, but we only have 2 fishes and I want to have 3. What about that? Yeah, that's the solution. Okay. So now I have to think about how to include these numbers here, because of course they are part of the challenge as well. I think I like the 5 here because of 5 digital item swap. This 5 makes sense to me. I will probably glue that with some foam tape so that it's sturdy and a little bit raised up because of this material here. Okay, so what do we have? Let's check that. We have used this, we have used the fishes, we have the number, we have the boy, we have that. So that means we have used all of the 5 items that are, that we have to use for the challenge. Then we have to imitate some rust, and I have to include my own handwriting. So, to include my handwriting, I want to try something. I want to take, this is the rest of this postcard piece, and I want to try something. I don't know if that will work, but we will see that in a second. I'm taking this pen that is relatively thin. Oh yes, that's good. And then I will write something to this piece of paper here. What shall we write? I think I will write the word fish very often to this thing, so that it looks like it is some kind of a regular handwriting, but not so readable. Do you know what I mean? I want to scribble a little bit. So this is nearly not readable, but it's my handwriting. I mean, it's scribbly, but it's my handwriting. And now I want to try to put some clear tape over this. So I'm placing this here, and then I'm trying to rub this. Very good. Now I'm taking this off, hoping that my handwriting and a little bit of this postcard material will stick on the tape. I'm trying to get this off in one piece. That seems to work. So now I'm trying to tear that in the middle, so that I only have parts of this, so that it looks like a little, you know, a little highlight for the background, but that it is not too crazy visible. So this looks like this now, and I think that's really interesting, even if it's only such a small piece. And you can't read anything anymore, but I think it's really cool. I think because you can see that it is written, but you can't read it. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so now let's glue all of the other pieces together. I think I will distress the postcard piece with some frayed burlap oxide ink. I think that goes really well with the color here in the background. And before I glue this to the base of the tag, I want to attach this thing. Don't ask me how this is called, but this is normally used for clothing. I don't know. You can put something in here and then close it up like this. And I found that in my stash. I guess that this once belonged to the stash from my mother. She was sewing very, very much. I want to try to make it look like this piece is clipped with this thing here, and I think that looks not so bad, especially here on the top of the tag. But it's a little bit too short. I thought I could make it work like this so that this peeks out here, but then the whole thing would be a little bit too high. But that actually looks really cool. But then here is something really strange going on. So one possibility now would be, if this is the position for this collage, then we could make the tag a little bit shorter, cut new edges here and here, and then this would peek out. Or the second possibility would be to put this to the side. Then it would be also not so close to the head of the boy. No. No. No, definitely not. So we will put it here. There's no other way. So I will try to clamp that relatively high, so that I don't lose too much of the negative space on my tag there on the top. And now I will cut the top of the tag. Yeah, that looks good. Now this can go here, and that looks way better. Woo! Yes. Yes. So now I want to imitate rust on this thing here. I have never done that before, but I will try it here now. And for that, I want to try to use some embossing glaze. And this thing here. So I want to use some embossing glaze vintage photo, and I'm trying to get the embossing ink on top of this. I have no idea if that will work. I have never done that before. I think I will need a second layer. I will try to put that directly on top while this is hot. Here I have some embossing glaze now on my little paper here, but I think that looks not so bad, because it could happen that the rust has come to the paper as well, and I think that's not so bad. If that's not looking like rust, I don't know. I don't know if my camera can catch this color, but that looks absolutely gorgeous. In the camera it looks really black, but in reality it's really, really cool. The layer underneath comes out really, really well. It looks a little bit like it has tiny dark dots in between of this reddish brown. I think you can't really see that because my camera can't catch that, but this looks really, really cool. I really like the color that I have here, and I really like that that worked on metal. I will definitely do that on some other metal pieces again with the glaze, but the texture of this is not like rust. I want to try to, and I don't know if that will work, I will reheat that so that it starts to melt again, and then I will take some steel wool and press that in there, lift that up, and then I will look if I have some rusty texture. Ooh! Okay, so now we have learned something. We have a texture. We have the glaze here, but we have a texture. That's not so bad. We have a really, really rusty looking texture. Can you see that? I mean, the color is now not the same, of course, but that looks way more like I have planned it. It looks like it has just began to rust. So I'm trying to take a crayon and go over this to color that in a little bit more and to make the texture of this a little bit more visible. And I think I want orange rust because of the orange that we have here. So that's the reason why I'm using this orange crayon. This is the Faber-Castell Gelato crayon, water-soluble oil crayon. And that makes it at the same time a little bit matte there where the crayon goes. You can smear that with your finger or a paintbrush, and I really like these. Okay, now it looks like this. And I think my camera can't catch the reality so well. In reality, that looks way more interesting. The contrast is not so much like you can see it in the camera. It's way more, I mean, I don't have the English word for what I want to say. Between the orange, the brown, and the background, there's not so much contrast in reality like you can see it here. But this looks like real rust, I would say. Now, I have some rusty pieces outside, outside of my caravan here, and they look exactly like this. I really like that. Okay, so now I will glue this down to the tag. And then I think it's time for my favorite tool, the hammer, for the distressing of the edges of the tag. This is way too boring for me at the moment, so I want to make some damages here and there, and then I want to distress the edges a little bit darker than the base is. So I think this looks way better than before. Don't know how you think about that, but now I think we can go in here with some ink and distress the edges. But which color? I mean, black would be visible really well, but I think that's too much. Orange, perhaps too much. Vintage photo. I'm taking vintage photo because vintage photo is really rusty. It has this reddish kind of orange in it. Okay, so now we have that. I think these edges look really, really cool. I mean, the vintage photo ink looks a little bit like rust as well. What do you think about that? I think always when I use vintage photo, it looks really rusty. For my opinion, a little bit more rusty than Rusty Hinge is. But since we have really much orange here, I'm thinking if I shall add a tiny, 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 tiny bit of Rusty Hinge somewhere to get more the connection to the color of, especially of this fish. I think I'm going to use some black now to make these areas here a little bit darker on the very edge of the tag. I'm using a Stabilo All pen. That's a water-soluble pen. Just going in here and make that a little bit wet so that I can smear it, and then it looks like some kind of a shadow. So I think this looks like it is nearly finished. There's only one little thing that's missing to make this look like a HEINZL piece. I just wanted to say goodbye, but then I thought, what happens when we put a tiny bit of shading, or what is the word, here behind this rectangle to make that stand out a little bit more, just a tiny little bit. And I guess that will make a really big difference. I'm hoping that it will make a difference. Difference. So when I have this, I'm finished, and I hope, of course, that you like this. If you want to check out some detailed photos of this project, please visit my Instagram. I will, as always, post some photos there so that you can also save them to your phone or to your Instagram, you know, this little library where you can save the posts and use them for your own inspiration or for whatever, or for a reminder what you don't want to do. That can also be a reason to save something, of course. I'm only kidding. But yeah, if you want to see some detailed pictures, of course, I would be really happy if we see us on Instagram. And if you want to post your own results, then please use the hashtag 5DigitalItemSwap. And I would love to see what you have created, and I'm really excited, because I'm always excited when I can see your creations somewhere. That is always so cool. And of course, I'm excited this time as well, and I think this has brought a really, really big difference. What do you think? And I've made the shading diagonal, as you perhaps have realized. The one edge, the one corner here and the other corner here, so that I don't have to go around the whole thing, because that wouldn't be possible here on the corrugated cardboard. It would be really hard to, nearly impossible to shade that. But if you do it here and here, then you have the feeling that the whole thing has a shadow now. And that can be a little bit more extreme here as well, so that you get the imagination that this rectangle where the boy is glued on is one piece that is coming up a little bit. And I think I could reach that. What do you think about that? I think that's way better than before. Okay, so I will dry this, and then this is my end result. I thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we will see the next time with a new idea. Have a great day or a great night, or whatever time it's in your country now, and see you. Bye bye.